What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, it's time for us to check back in on Starsector. This is one of those fantastic games that a lot of people have never heard of. Like, Total Biscuit actually did a video on this like a long time ago, and it's one of those games that's continued to kind of exist in relative obscurity, despite the fact that it is a very good game. Like, one of the problems you run into with these open-world sandbox space games is that they tend to suffer from like wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle. Starsector is not that game. If I could describe the game to you, it'd be a combination of Mount & Blade Warband if you took the gameplay of Space Pirates and Zombies and made it much more in-depth. In fact, that's the way that I tend to describe this game to prospective buyers or people that want to get into it, is that this game is Space Pirates and Zombies' older, more sophisticated brother. The core gameplay is actually very similar, especially when it comes to combat, but there's just more of it there. Like, there's so many different layers of gameplay to this that it's one of those games that you can really sink into for like 400, 500 hours. It's very easy to do, and at a price point of $15, you'd be hard-pressed to find a game that is more of a steal. And so anyways, Starsector, we're going to dive on in today. If you like the game after having watched this video, I'll have a link for you down below in the description so that you can check that out. On top of that, I'll also have a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream where I have been streaming this game. I've got a couple of VODs up now by the time this video goes live, or maybe one or two that you'll be able to check out just in case you wanted to start the game out from scratch and go through the entire process of building up a fleet and becoming all badass. But anyways, let's start off a new game here. The game just recently got like a big kind of expansion, like content drop. The developer's been working on the game for like 10 years. He's been working on it for a really long time, and it's one of those passion project games like Caves of Cut or Dwarf Fortress, where I'm not entirely convinced he'll ever stamp a 1.0 on it and say that it's done. It's a game that already could be in its 1.0 like right now with where it's at, but he just keeps adding more things to it and fiddling with more things and adding more ships and adding more mechanics. The most recent content kind of explosion had to do with like the warp and hyperspace, adding little thematic things to make that more interesting and sort of more mysterious and terrifying. What do I want to name this guy? We'll name this guy Chip Challenger. He looks like a Chip Challenger to me. That's the name that popped to mind when I saw, like, I don't know, they added this balaclava profile, and ever since then I always pick it. At the beginning of the game, we can decide what kind of ship we wanted to start with. And one thing I do like about this game is that if you don't like the early game, like you find that the bounty hunting fight from relative obscurity up to prominence takes too long and you don't find that to be fun, you can actually skip over the top of it pretty easily and start the game out with a big giant ship like a cruiser or a destroyer. And the game doesn't penalize you for that. It's just merely up to your choice. And little accessibility options like that to streamline the play for veteran players, I think are actually really good. But in this case, I'm going to take the Wolf Frigate because it's one of my favorite ships in the game. And then we've got to choose a wingman. I'll take the Kite class shuttle. Sounds good, because we get an officer that comes along with that. I'm going to skip the tutorial, and then we've got to pick a skill. One thing that's really cool about this game is that the skill tree matters. So there's a lot of games out there that they take the idea of a skill tree, and they think that by having like a bigger skill tree, they're somehow making their game more interesting, even though everything in the skill tree is kind of like a Path of Exile styled 1% passive boost to something. Like, that's not meaningful progression. What I like about Starsector is that there's not a lot of skills, but every single one of them distinctively changes the way that your fleet performs or gives you some large concrete bonus that matters. I would much rather have that skill tree. And so at the beginning of the game, everything's split up between combat, leadership, technology, and industry. Combat, pretty obvious, makes you better at fighting. Leadership, also fairly obvious, it makes all the ships under your command perform better. Technology are like general abilities that just make your fleet do different stuff on the overworld map and allow you to scan, and allow you to move faster, and allow you to conduct EM warfare against the enemy to nerf their capabilities. Industry is going to be largely around manufacturing, colonizing, and then also the aggregation of loot. What I like to start out with right here in the beginning of the game is there's a couple good options. So I like field modulation. It makes your shield stronger. I like crew training because it allows you to stay in combat for longer periods of time before people gas out. This game has a conceptual idea of combat readiness that dictates how well your fleet performs, and having a higher combat readiness from this fleet bonus right here means that you can stay in long engagements longer before people start being like, I'm hungry. When is the fight going to be over? When can I have my chimichanga? Like, it's pretty cool. This is a good one over here too. Navigation allows you to transverse jump. That means that you can get into the warp no matter where you are without using a jump gate. It's a supremely useful utility. But anyways, there's lots of things to pick from here. Like loads and loads and loads of things. I'm going to go with combat endurance. I feel like that's a really strong pick for the early game. It's going to allow us to stay in combat longer, and it's also going to allow us to stack more combat readiness on top of already getting that extra 60-second buffer, and then we'll dive on into the game. So here we are at the beginning of the game. We've started out with our little tiny baby fleet. We have our Korolev Dreaming, and we have the Mercurial. Which is we've actually got an officer inside here. Your officers are special characters that you can recruit and pay a salary to. They can pilot your ships for you instead of designating it to just like a helmsman that's randomly run by the AI. This guy is also AI run, or this lady is also AI run, but she's got her own abilities. She levels up in combat, she gets more abilities, and she will develop those things to really turn this thing into a scalpel, a very precise combat instrument. The first thing I like to do early on in the game is pick up some more ships. We got $32,000 right now, so I'm going to go to the fleet menu, and I'm going to go ahead and buy myself a couple more ships just to kind of make ourselves have a little bit stiffer of a chin. We do have another Wolf frigate over here that's available for purchase. We do have, I was hoping, let's check the black market real fast. Black market, you got anything sassy for me over here? Not really, actually. We have a kite shuttle over here. That would work. A drone tender would also work. I would take both of those. The downside is my transponder is on. Your transponder is basically like a digital handshake with every other ship in the system. So if I buy anything out of the black market, the police are going to come by and they're going to be like, hey, we saw that your transponder was activated in a dubious area. You haven't been doing anything bad, have you? And then I'm going to be like, no, I swear, officer, I haven't done anything wrong. We'll take the kite shuttle. And I think we will also take the drone tender. Both of those sound good to me. That's about half of our money gone for right now. We are going to have to outfit these ships, so I'm going to refit them real fast. Every single ship is fully customizable. They have hard points. You can put whatever you want inside those hard points, so long as it fits inside the prescribed modification points for that ship. So every ship can take a certain amount of modification points. This meter fills up, and once it's full, you can't add anything else to the ship. But for right now, I'm just going to auto-fit this stuff. We'll give you like a standard loadout. And then for the drone tender, we will also give you a frontier loadout. There we go. So this guy's going to release drones, and they're going to attack the enemy. I mean, this is a piece of industrial equipment, so really he shouldn't even be in combat. But we're going to kind of like do it for right now because I need the extra reinforcement. We need to earn some money. And so anyways, as we fly on over here, you can take a look in the bottom left. From the top to the bottom, that's all the information you need to know about the game. At the top, we have our credits. Underneath that, we have the amount of supplies we have left remaining. Supplies are just kind of like this esoteric value, this item you have to carry around that represents all the clothing, all the food, all of the equipment, all of the tools that you need to keep a fleet up and running. Underneath that, you've got your fuel. Underneath that, you've got your burn rate, which is how fast you are. Underneath that, with the white star, you've got your combat readiness. Combat readiness is basically how refueled, how tuned, how reloaded all your guns are, how rested your crew is. If it's at a low value, they're going to perform worse in combat and malfunctions are going to happen. Next to that, we've got our sensor range. That's how far away we can see things. You can get ships to help boost that up with mods. We've got our sensor profile, which is how far away people can sense us from based on the size and the hulls of our ships. We've got our repair kind of synopsis, how long it'll take us to fix our craft if we had any damage. And then an overall average of the amount of hull damage that's been sustained by every fleet, or every ship in our fleet. I'm going to go ahead and save over here just in case anything bad happens. Sometimes there's pirates over here and there's a standing bounty on all of them. And so I'd like to wipe out a couple of pirate fleets real fast just to get our finances up and earn some early game XP. He's avoiding contact with us right now, which means I'm actually going to have to like chase him down and catch him. There we go. We caught him. It's 3 busted ships. That's all you need to know. And so anyways, we're going to pursue them, and we're going to take command of the action. The downside is, because they're trying to run from us, they are going to be fleeing from this combat. And so it's not going to be altogether that visceral or interesting of a fight, because they're going to be displacing and running for their lives and not really actually standing their ground with us. If we're lucky, we may be able to pick off 1 or 2 of them. I wish they weren't running, but they are, so it kind of is what it is. There's 2 meters you need to pay attention to on every ship in this game. You've got your flux and you've got your hull. Your flux is basically the heat that your ship has built up over time in combat. Everything from your shields being hit to firing your weapons is going to increase your flux. And so anyways, it's a good idea. Like, what happens is, because shields don't have a concrete value in this game, like they do in other games, what will happen is, in this game, combat is sort of back and forth. It's like waves on the beach. People thrust in, and as their flux goes up, they pull back. And it creates kind of this subtle push and pull to combat that's very, very strategic in this game. There is an RTS overlay. You can command your guys just like you would in Command & Conquer or StarCraft or anything else if you wanted. This guy is apparently staying in order to allow his other ships to retreat. I'm going to dance in, activate my shields with right-click, and see if I can pepper him up a little bit with missiles before he gets away. He shouldn't be able to get away from me. One of the reasons I like the Wolf is because it is the consummate predator craft. It's a very aggressive, difficult ship to escape, and so he's now dead, but everybody else has apparently retreated. So we'll just claim victory real fast, and then we can consider recovering any ship that we've destroyed. It's in really bad shape, though. These little pips right here in red are called D-mods, or damage mods. Every time a ship is killed in combat, you can recover it, but it gets a D-mod most of the time. Like this one right here has an erratic fuel injector. That's going to mess with its ability to move in combat. It has compromised armor, which means that its armor is going to go down faster once you get past the shields. It's got degraded life support, which means that its crew capacity is cut to half. And it has a glitched sensor array, which means that it can't scan very well. So it's in bad shape. We're just going to go ahead and pick through the wreckage real fast and then move on with our day. Little bit of fuel, a couple supplies off that guy right there. We are not ready for combat right now, which kind of sucks. Is there a larger fleet over here that like wants to fight while we're kind of like patching ourselves up? We did get paid 1,700 bucks for that engagement. This guy over here is running from me. I'm gonna see if I can catch him. And if I can catch him, that'd be great. But it seems like most of these guys are kind of dedicated to running from me. I wish that they would unify up and actually fight me in one big pitched battle so that I can get paid. We caught these guys right here, and in fact, they did do exactly what I just said. So we're going to move into engage. This is a stand your ground fight. The only thing is we didn't have time to refuel and resupply the kites. So unfortunately, they're not going to be able to stay in combat quite as long as they normally would be able to. However, given the relatively scuffed nature of all of these ships that we're going up against, I'm not really that worried about engaging with them anyways. I don't really want to fight the Wolf first. All he's going to do is backpedal and try to run from me, and so he's not going to really engage. He's flying an evasive craft right now, so I'd like to go after somebody where the benefits of my craft will be best served. I need to get past you. My special ability on this ship, by the way, is that I can teleport. That's the thing my ship does. Yeah, shoot down those EM missiles, please. Oh, you didn't shoot down the EM missile. Oh, no. Now I'm disabled and floating. This is bad. Well, we'll recover at some point. There we go. We have now recovered, and we are quite beat up. It's okay, though. We're going to bounce back. Everything's going to be okay. I need to engage this guy down here is the first thing that I need to do. And it looks like my forces have actually split up very, very strangely. Sometimes the AI makes really odd decisions in this game. I'm going to give these guys the order to move in and attack this guy right here because he has no shields. And so he's the obvious first target, and then we'll work on everybody else later. I'm going to push up while being careful to not get overwhelmed. There we go. We cut him off a little bit, fire some missiles on into that hull, get him a little scuffy boyed. We've got our, I'm going to teleport over to avoid those missiles the other guy just fired. Our drone tender is putting a nice small amount of pressure on them. It's not a combat vessel, so I wouldn't expect miracles, but there's our first enemy defeated. We're going to go ahead and give orders in here because they got scrambled enough on that last run that I don't trust the AI to actually engage properly on my side. It's one of those weird things where, like, The enemy AI seems to play better than the ally AI, and I think that's because they're sort of like encouraging you to get officers that play a little bit more aggressively. He's now dead. Good. The other guy, he's kind of just like hanging out back there, but he's a civilian vessel, and so like I can see why he might not want to be in combat. Let's go ahead and chase this guy to the corner of the map. I'm going to rotate around him, give him some seeker missiles right there. His flux is going up. Our flux is going up. Everybody's having a wonderful fluxy time. Okay, I'm going to pull back because my flux is too high. I'm going to vent my flux real fast and allow my cohort to kind of like pepper him a little bit while I get my heat down. You can get rid of your flux by pressing the V key, by the way. And learning when and where to balance your flux is actually like a major mechanic of this game. He's now down, so we're going to refocus everybody else, and we're going to go after that guy. You may have noticed, if you're particularly astute, every time I give an order, my command points go down. That's because you can only give limited orders in combat based on how good your leadership is. You can confuse people effectively. There's a certain amount of orders you can give to the fleet before they start being like, but they do regenerate over time, as you can see as the meter fills up. Let's go ahead and get back on in here, and we'll see if we can tango with this civilian vessel. Civilian vessel actually doing a pretty good job at chewing on my little dude right there. We just got a warning that our combat readiness is getting down to critical levels. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that, but we should be out of here pretty shortly. Our drone tender is shearing the armor off this guy. Our weapons are dealing damage. We're scoring hits with missiles, and so he has ceased to exist. He's no longer existing on this mortal coil. I'm going to go ahead and claim victory. Pretty solid win. There's nothing really worth claiming over here, so I'm not going to. Resale value on ships is really terrible if they have demods, and so like picking up ships that have obsessive, huge amounts of demods just doesn't feel worthwhile to me. All right. So we've picked up 7,000 credits for that engagement right there because there's a standing bounty on all dead pirates in this system. Not bad. And then we also get a stipend every month because we've just graduated from Space Academy. And so us being a fighter pilot or a bounty hunter or a space trader or whatever else is being subsidized by our educational establishment at the moment until we get on our feet. Over here, we've got one more contact. And it looks like he's running from us. What do we have over here? What are you guys doing? You guys got anything interesting going on? 2 more hounds. I would like to fight them, but it really comes down to whether or not I can catch them. There we go. We got him. We got him, boys. We got him. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pursue them, and I'm actually going to let my second-in-command handle this one because I've noticed the second-in-command does a better job at catching fleeing ships than just fighting the open battle does. Both those ships were wrecked. We knew they were both wrecked before we even came in here, but we've allowed ourselves to resupply and refuel a little bit, and that'll give us another 3,000 credits to play around with. So expanding the fleet is going to be an opportunity. If you want to speed the game up like I'm doing right now, you just hold down the shift key, and you can swap that inside the options between a toggle and a push to function. It's entirely up to you. I put it on where I hold it down in order to make it work, but some people prefer it the other way. I can play either way. Doesn't really bother me. I'm going to head back to the station, and we'll resupply briefly, and we'll figure out what we want to do next. In the early game, you're going to be a little bit tight on funds. Honestly, finding a good job is more than likely what's going to benefit us the best. Unfortunately, the bar doesn't have any prospective employers that have anything that we can currently handle at our current level of progression. We do need to hire some goodies, and we do need to kind of grab some more crewmen. So I'll get some more crew right there. We'll refuel. I'm going to grab some supplies as well just to keep us floating. That used up most of our money that we got from our piratical deeds. Or our anti-piratical deeds? Anti-piratical. That's the word that I'm looking for. We don't really have enough money left over to go ahead and buy a new ship, which is what I would be in the market for anyways. In the early game, I prefer to just have like a swarm of really small fighters and frigates. And then I just take on threats that are highly damaged, like pirates and whatnot. We can seek out things to do inside the galaxy. There are standing bounties and things like that that are going to be all over that just come in through the Broadwave communicator. We are in a system right now where there's a standing bounty on pirates. So let me cruise around for a little bit and maybe see if I can grind out a level or two killing pirates. Well, I got bad news. So the local Imperial fleet came through and wiped out all the enemies. This game is populated with factions. Those factions do things in order to advance their goals. It's very much like kind of Nords or, you know, Vaegirs or, you know, the Saranids or whatever, a Mountain Blade warband. This game has multiple factions that are all vying for control of the remaining galaxy. This game takes place in a lore set that is very much in decline, like humanity is effectively dying out. There was a point where the entire galaxy was ruled by a faction called the Domain, as I understand it. And the Domain has collapsed long, long ago. And if you take a look at the map, actually, humanity used to extend to all of these star systems. After the collapse of the Domain, we now have this, and it's all infighting between various factions over who gets to control everything. You've got the standard players. You've got the space religion that hates technology while flying around in spaceships. You've got the evil corporation that has the best technology, the best stuff, but living under their rule is basically working 70-hour weeks and living a misery life. You've got, like, the flawed democracy faction that, like, they're kind of the good guys, but, like, everybody is a bad guy in their own respect in this game. But you can sign up with any of them for a commission and become a part of their military and help them conquer space. If you want to, you can make your own faction and fight against everybody and unify it under your own. I, for example, plan on enacting the worship of the great and powerful God Emperor, and everyone will come to heal under the radiant light of Holy Terra, and those that do not shall face my bolter fire. That's kind of the way that I'm going with it. But, you know, you can choose and do it however you want. Since all the pirates got cleaned out of this system, I think maybe we make a small hop over to Galatia. I think that's a good idea. So let's go ahead and we'll lay in a course for Galatia and we'll head out to the warp. Are you guys pirates? Nope, you guys are smugglers. There's an abandoned terraforming platform right there. We could use that as a base. Sometimes you'll find like orbiting stations that have been abandoned for like hundreds of years, and you can use them to store your stuff and basically use them as a bank. In my personal playthrough, I found a ship. I was out in the far fringes of the galaxy, like way out in the middle of like nowhere, and I found an old ship from the Domain era that had a name and actually had like a giant lore blurb about how important of a ship it was and how it was like the spearhead of the greatest war effort and whatnot. And it's like a flatly better version of the same hull compared to the ones that you can buy in the inner system, but I don't have the money or the manpower to fly it, and so it's just sitting in my storage right now, but someday. This is Hyperspace. Hyperspace is how you get in between different systems. Hyperspace is much like the warp in 40K. Strange, mysterious things happen out here that are unexplainable, and in fact, the last content drop fleshed out and made the warp a lot more interesting. There's like ghosts in the warp now, there's slipstreams, all kinds of odd things to kind of terrify, stupefy, and enamor. Now let's see if we can find some pirates around in this station to maybe bolster up the old bank account, because we're kind of broke as a joke right now. It looks like they just killed this pirate relay over here, so there's a chance that there's not really going to be much here, but we do have a large debris field over on this side that we might conceivably be able to salvage and maybe glean a little bit of value from. Playing the game as a salvager who just moves around in the wake of the conflicts that are happening is also like a valid option. You can actually earn a lot of money that way. Let's go ahead and we will salvage this area. It's possible there's something here. We're not equipped to salvage this field. We don't have enough manpower and we don't have enough tools, and so there's a high chance of accidents happening, and so I'm not gonna. What is this over here? That is a nav buoy. Okay, I could wipe out the nav buoy, and actually it doesn't look like there's a pirate base in this sector, and judging from all the debris fields, I've got a feeling that the pirates have been mostly wiped out. Oh, this guy wants to fight. You know, after looking at him, he's got 2 destroyers in there. I just don't feel like it's going to happen. We'll go emergency burn real fast. We should be able to outrun him due to the relative distance and hull size. And if we can drag him back to a fleet patrol, we may actually be okay. Like, if we can get him to get engaged by the cops, we can jump in on it, and that's absolutely a fight that we can handle. The question becomes, can we force this guy to follow us out to where they're actually at, because he's going to be a little bit skittish about actually going into hegemony space. Do have a small sortie happening down here, but it's mostly wrapped up. This mercenary scout caught himself some pirates. We do have a couple of ships around here, though, that we could take a look at. Are any of these any good? He's only got 2 D mods. Bad power grid, unreliable subsystems, although those aren't the worst debuffs that the ship could possibly have. Just going to go ahead and salvage him off real fast. We'll just kind of take his lifeblood for our own usage. We will see. Actually, I'm going to follow this mercenary battalion here real fast, and I'm going to see if he engages with that larger fleet. Are those pirates right there? Those are pirates. I'm going to go ahead and block this off real fast. There we go. So in a roundabout way, we just saved that mercenary squad from getting obliterated by these reinforcements. And we should be able to get a nice little 5,000, 6,000 paycheck off of it. Sometimes it pays to sort of just, no, you guys stop doing what you're doing and heavy escort me. Thank you. Ooh, that was aggressive. My man came in wanting the smoke. All right. All right. I respect the ambition of it. That dude pulled up like he had major beef to spark with me. Unfortunately, it didn't work out so great with him. You guys over here, go ahead and get rid of that hound right there. This guy's isolated. One thing you always want to look for in combat in this game is isolated enemy units. Every now and again, the AI will overextend and will isolate themselves from the rest of like their reinforcements. And you want to watch out for fruitful strike opportunities in those cases. We'll go ahead and light him up real fast, get the shields up with right click. He's now down. Very well done, gentlemen, and this should just be a cleanup operation from here. Let's knock these shields down. Let's generate some flux. Let's cause some mayhem. And let's get ourselves a paycheck, shall we? I got crew that are looking to feed their families. I'm looking to upgrade the fleet and make it better. We'll go ahead and vent a little bit of our good stuff over here, and we'll command everybody to go out here and fight. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you can play this game like an RTS. If you don't like flying your ship and you find that you're not good at it, you can command your ship the same way that you command all these other guys on the RTS layer, and it'll just play the game like the AI does, just with some bonuses for your pilot obviously being a named character and whatnot. Like you'll have better movement speed, you'll have better damage, so on and so forth. So totally an option. You can do that. There's our win. Very nice. None of those ships are worth recovering. I'm just going to pick the bones real fast. We'll get 16 supplies out, a little bit of fuel. If you control click, it'll pick things up only to the capacity that you can totally fill. That's a very nice quality of life thing. This game is full of nice little quality of life things like that. This is a big force right here, and they've got a carrier. Yikes. Don't love that. I mean, we can jump in on it, but I'm not convinced it's going to go well, especially since we're not fleet ready right now. I'm just going to let him, like, suffer his fate. I don't feel confident about that carrier. That carrier is going to belch out, like, 10 to 15 fighters, like, nonstop the entire time. And our hulls are so small that fighters are actually a considerable threat. And so I'd rather just not deal with it. That's his problem. Bye, bud. Sorry. I am wrong place, wrong time, I guess, cousin. Later. Let's go see if we can find more fertile ground to fight. Although we've got a little bit of money. Let's go to the station and we'll expand our... Yeah. Let's go to the station and we'll expand our fleet a little bit. One word of warning, be wary of the autopilot. When you lay in coordinates, it'll just take you in a straight line to get there. It won't take you on the safe path to get there. It'll just kind of... It'll fly you through, you know, neutron fields, pulsars, warp storms. So you are going to have to, like, you can use the autopilot a little bit, but on a certain level, I do wish that the autopilot was better. Like, if they had two separate autopilot settings, one for, like, safest course and one for fastest course, I think that would resolve the issue entirely. We're still good on supplies, so we don't have to worry about that. That's a little bit of money we can skip out on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the shipyard and see what they've got. They've got another kite over here. They've got an enforcer, but it's got D-mods. We've got a light carrier over on this side that we can't afford. We've got a Centurion. The Centurion is an absolutely fantastic vessel. I like it a lot. I think it's a really good vessel. However, we're buying from the black market right now, so the police aren't going to be stoked if we buy this ship. They're going to come by and be like, "Sir, please step out of the ship. Sir, please step out of the ship. Sir, I'm going to search your pockets now. Is there anything in there that's going to poke me or stick me?" Like, they're not going to be happy about it, but they're not going to do anything about it. We'll just lose, like, a little bit of rep. And since we're killing pirates anyways, we should get that rep back pretty quickly. So I'm going to buy the Centurion, and then what we're going to do is we're going to refit the Centurion. We'll go ahead and auto-fit it for assault mode out here. And this guy should be pretty badass. He's got dumbfire missiles. I don't love that on this preset. I would rather he have, like, SRM swarmers. But it really comes down to, like, how bent out of shape do I want to get about it, and also do they have it available? And it looks like they don't. They do have swarmers, actually. They have swarmers right there. Yeah, go ahead and slap the swarmers on it. I feel like he's going to perform better with swarmers. The swarmers have tracking, and so, like, I sort of feel like the swarmers are going to do a good job. He's got mods on there, flux distributors, looks good. We've got to deal with the cops now. I had my transponder on, so your transponder is a really important mechanic in this game. Your transponder is effectively like your digital ID. In civilized space, all factions require that you have your transponder on by law if you're inside their airspace. And so they will come investigate if they get a scan trace of you with your transponder off. And they will get mad about it. They'll be like, sir, turn on your transponder or get scuttled. Like, they will be aggressive about it. So, you know, just be careful. There he is right there. I can use a storyline point to talk my way out of it. Actually, go ahead and scan me, dude. I don't care. We don't have any contraband, so, like, I'm not worried about being scanned. Like, our ship is perfectly legal. We just bought it without paying taxes. That's pretty much it. We didn't pay the vehicle tax. Now that we've got the Centurion is like a heavy frigate. And so the Centurions should perform pretty good. In fact, I think I'll take the Centurion as my own personal vessel, and then I will reassign my second in command to pilot the Wolf. There we go. Let's go find some trouble. Well, there's not a whole lot that exists right now as far as stuff that we can chase down. There is a pirate bounty in Zagan right now that I think is probably fortuitous. We don't really have the cargo space to run trade missions. And we don't really have the fuel capacity to get out into the outer fringe and do treasure hunting or, like, reclamation. So for now, I think we just kind of stay inside established space. It's going to take us 9 days to get there. The bounty is up for, what? Another 60 days? Yeah, I feel like that's worth it. We can get over there. Oh, hold on. We got fights happening over here. Now, these are normally fights that I don't take. Largely because, well, anyways, the fight's already over. I tried to get over there, but I don't take fights that I don't get paid for. I feel like that's the proper mercenary mentality to have in this game. Every single fight costs you something, whether it comes from, like, your supplies or your fuel or whatever else. And so, in general, I don't fight unless I'm getting paid for it. But there's just, like, this do-gooder paladin deep down inside of me that sees people getting preyed upon and messed with, and I just can't stop myself from jumping in on fights. So, like, outwardly, I've got kind of a Malcolm Reynolds situation going on. Like, I act like I'm sort of this dastardly, hardened, blood-cold mercenary, but at the end of the day, I usually do the right thing. It kind of is what it is. One is good for the reputation, the other is good for business. I'm going to sneak through this nebula here. Hopefully, oh, I got struck by lightning. Okay. Well, I was trying to sneak through. We'll go ahead and get into the Zagan star system and just kind of see if there's any gangster stuff happening here. They are reporting pirate activity in this area, so it's possible we may be able to pick up a couple of bounties or something over here. We got piratey boys right here. I'll jump in on it. We may be able to snipe a kill or two. Okay, this ship right here. Every ship has a special ability. On my Wolf, it was teleportation. On my Centurion, it's a paladin bubble. So I can basically go immune to all damage for, like, X amount of time. It is going to be a little bit slower of a hull than, like, the Wolf. As you can see, the Wolf is pulling ahead very, very rapidly, but that's because the Wolf is a skirmisher. That's the Wolf's job, is to tackle and occupy and harass and make it such that the enemy can't get away until the fleet catches up. If you're seeing the little sensor symbols on here, that's because this is actually a CP fight. So there's control points, and you get bonuses by getting those control points under the control of your fleet. Getting danced on over here. Ooh, big missile hits right there. Oof. Big old nasty boy missile hits. Straight to the unshielded booty hole. I've always maintained the weak spot on every organism is the butthole. If you don't know where to attack, go for the butthole. You know what I mean? I don't think there's an enemy on this earth that's gonna hold their ground when you go after the butthole. If somebody pulled that strategy on me, I'm out of here, bro. I'm just, absolutely not. Just not gonna do that wholeheartedly. Well, the enemy seems to have mostly gotten away. We'll consider ship recovery, but there's nothing here. We'll pick through the wreckage with our salvage rights based on the DPS that we dealt. We'll grab the heavy machinery. And actually, I'm going to follow these guys a little bit. See if I can catch them. I don't want the mercenary patrol to jump in with me. Kind of ruins the point. We did get paid like $700 for helping out over there, but I would have rather gotten a little bit more money. Pirates tend to hang out around like planets, jump gates, stuff like that. You also kind of want to look for debris fields. That tends to imply where battles are happening. We'll just kind of cruise around for a minute, see if anybody comes and finds us. Well, we've got a nice little debris field over here. I don't know if we can actually capitalize on it. We've got enough tools and stuff. Let's go for it. We lost 2 heavy machinery. That's fine. I'll just take the supplies. We need more supplies anyways. There's a Cerberus combat freighter here left over from a previous sortie. And is it in okay shape? It's not. Okay, well, we'll just salvage it then. I need fuel and whatnot anyways. Everything I salvage saves me money. A Cerberus class over here too. We'll go ahead and salvage this bad boy as well. We just saved ourselves a decent grip of money by breaking out the hose and doing a little siphoning action. This Cerberus is actually in okay shape. It's got increased maintenance costs, but I think I'm going to recover it. We'll just use it as like a dummy ship to protect our other ships that are more valuable. I do need to outfit it, and so I think we should probably head to a station and do that. But pirate activity seems to have been stamped out pretty quickly. Basically, a bounty notice will come out, and bounty hunters will swarm the system to get that money, just like they would in real life. And so anyways, sometimes you get here a little bit too late, and they've already capitalized on everything that's kind of... everything that's fruitful, basically. And that seems to be our case right here. What's that, like a mercantile convoy? Okay. You're good, sir. Move on. Sir, move on. Just be aware. This system has increased piratical activity, sir. Just keep your head on a swivel there, sir. Okay. We're back in station right now. I need to buy more crew. I need to buy more fuel. I need to buy probably about 100 supplies, which is going to cost a fortune, and I hate it. But sometimes you're going to hate it. The life of a space crew captain is filled with just you really having... it's an expensive lifestyle, man. You got to spend money on things. You got to spend money to make money. You can get rid of the permanent debuffs on this, so I guess they're not actually that permanent. But it's usually way more expensive than it's worth. So, like, fixing this guy right here, we can buy this ship new for, like, 14K. So why would we spend 13K fixing it? It's better to just, like, outfit it, make it hyper-aggressive, and then just kind of let it do its thing until it dies and we can afford a better ship. That tends to be with salvage ships. I tend to just kind of let them get chewed on, and I don't cry too much when they die. Yeah, what we're kind of running into right now is that there's stuff going on, but like largely most of it is outside of our fuel range. I wanted to take you guys on a bounty hunt, but unfortunately, just not the way things are going right now. I think I'll probably just sit tight and wait for more stuff to come in over the Broadwave. We got somebody that's feeling antsy in the pantsy. Okay. Oh, interdiction went off right there. You love to see it. He's got a strike. I mean, he does have a lot of destroyers. I'm going to have to use a story point here to kind of, like, save myself. So this brings us to story points. As you level up and get XP, you get 4 story points per level. Story points are kind of this idea that your character is special in the universe. And story points, if you've ever played Shadowrun Tabletop, they're kind of like Edge. They allow you to do, like, impossible things. You cash them in. You don't get them very often, but they allow you to do truly exceptional stuff. Everything from bolting mods onto ships that normally don't fit on them, to escaping from impossible battles, from talking your way through really, really impossible law enforcement situations. Story points are good. The downside is... like, do you guys want to, like, jump in? I was hoping they would jump in, but it doesn't look like they're going to jump in. All right, we're going to fight these guys on our own then. I don't care. I don't need the help of the local flotilla. I'm not fighting against impossible odds right now. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Let's see who decides to square up first. I'm going to put them all on escort duty. It's this guy on the right. Okay. Now, it looks like they engaged over here, too. We're going to want to watch out for those strike destroyers. Those two together, ideally, in a perfect world, I'd like to get them split up so that they're not combining their fire. Like, that would be, I think, something that would work really, really well. However, they're actually maintaining a fairly solid formation right now. We're going to have to turn a flank. We're not going to have a choice. So I'm going to go after this guy, I think. It does look like he's capable of putting out some damage. However, he's got no chin on him, so that's good. You, sir, you're next. We got rid of their main bargaining chip for winning right now, which is actually good. Really good for us. All of you guys engage over here. You engage right there. For whatever reason, their destroyer broke off to go after our kite, which I think should be able to outrun him no problem. I'm going to have him just basically kite them around the galaxy real fast. I need to, go invulnerable for a minute to get my flux down, and then I need to vent. I didn't realize how bad my flux was. My flux is kind of in an ugly state at the moment. Sir, would you like to die? I would like for you to die. Please die. Please? Sir? Sir, that's a very nice hull you have. Might I deprive you of it? There we go. Auto guns got him. Looks like we've disabled just about everything they have. So let's go ahead and mount an offense against their main craft. I don't care if we get the smaller ships. Those are only worth like 1,000 credits apiece. I do care if we get the bigger ships. I want the bigger ships dead. That's where the pay dirt is at. And this is like the first fight that we've had in this system camping this gate that has actually been worth taking. I wish I hadn't burned a story point. I was trying to get the local law enforcement to group up with me, but they weren't taking the bait. Hey, he's disabled by auto cannons. Auto cannons. I need to go invulnerable right now. That's what I need to do. I'm going to go invulnerable twice, because that's just the kind of crazy guy that I am. All right, shields up. I got to deal with this wolf. This wolf is being a pain in my booty hole. Hey, he overloaded his ship. What you get, you turd. You turd Ferguson. Yeah, how you like them missiles that I just gave to you, huh? You like them missiles right there? The Cerberus got disabled. Doesn't surprise me. The Cerberus is... It's got no shields, dude. What can you say? It has no shields. I'm going to try to pull him back. He's just kiting. The wolf AI in this game can be really, really annoying. Basically, it just backpedals. It doesn't even try to fight you. It flies backwards, and it kind of hopes for the best. I'm going to see if I can get in here and maybe render any sort of assistance or aid against this bigger guy. Realistically, we just need missiles on him. That's pretty much it. Like, if we can keep missiles and ions on him, I don't actually think he'll be able to... Oh, he tried to get away. My man tried to pull a runner. I saw that. Dude, we're running out of combat readiness trying to kill this guy. This is a stiff ship. Easy fight until we actually had to deal with this guy. And I'm out of missiles, so I don't really have anything left that I can contribute to this fight, in all seriousness. I'm going to dance in, dance out. We'll vent some heat. Well, good news and bad news. He got my wolf, which sucks. I would have preferred that he not get my wolf. I liked that wolf. That was a good wolf, and now it's got a D-mod on it. But we won. At what cost? I don't know if it was worth it. We can pick up some new ships over here. I'll recover my 2 ships. Oh, he got 2 D-mods. Feels bad. Feels real, real bad. All right, well, we got some supplies out of it, so that's a little bit of money recovered. But honestly, the paycheck was only 10 Gs. It would have helped if you guys had jumped in, you douchebags. Like, you guys are just like, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys just sitting back here? Just sitting pretty in the space city? Are you guys ever going to engage or do anything? Like, you were like 6 inches away. You could have rendered aid at any moment. So then you stood there like, should we go in, boys? Like, come on, man. You gotta save me from the Rocky and Bullwinkle nonsense, dude. We are back up and running, and we do have a little bit of money saved, so I feel like there's an opportunity here to grab another ship to add to our retinue. God, all these dry docks are terrible, though. These dry docks just have some real clunkers, man. Some real absolute clunkers. Let's see if Mazalot's got anything good for it. It says that they maz a lot. And so, like, I expect to see some serious mazzing over here, dude. You guys better maz hard. You can't just name the place Mazalot. You know what I mean? Like, Camelot, cams a ton. Okay? Doesn't cam a little. There's a Vigilance frigate we could pick up. I like that Lasher if it didn't have D-mods on it. Let's pick up the Vigilance, I guess. I don't remember what the Vigilance's special ability is. It has a fast missile rack, which means it can double fire its missiles every now and again. So you kind of want to load this boat out with a lot of boom boom. Yeah, I can do that. We're about to get our government stimmy check anyways. We leveled up, so that's pretty cool. We got a level. I like that. We can reinforce our shields. I think I'm going to take field repairs. That allows us to get a 25% instant heal after every fight. That'll save us a lot of supplies over the long term. I need to outfit out this new ship, though. I want to see what they're going to do to it, though. Like, I don't know what the pre-builds are going to look here. So this pre-build has a hypervelocity driver, a Pelum. We're not going to find a hypervelocity here. But we did get the Pelum LRM, so that's pretty cool. This guy right here has a heavy autocannon, an MRM pod. This one right here has a Needler and a Typhoon Reaper. I'll probably go with this guy right here. That seems like the best loadout for what we're currently doing. Like, LRMs, they're good, but like, they've got specific applications, and those specific applications are not inside the wheelhouse of what we're attempting to accomplish right now. Our bounty season has ended. Okay, well, there's nothing else to do here then. I mean, there's a couple of bounties that are like sort of like way out in the fringes. We can't really get there. And so, like, I'm not going to worry about them, but this is Starsector. I mean, I only showed you a small fragment of gameplay, which is bounty hunting. You can get involved in wars, you can build your own civilizations, you can play it like a colony manager where you build your own colonies and maintain those. You can play it like Satisfactory where you create manufacturing hubs and you create like trade lanes and things of that nature. You can play it just floating through the outer rim of space, being a salvager of ancient antiquities. I mean, there is a lot of content to unpack with this one, and it really sincerely is a fantastic game. And at like $15, this game is just like an absolute steal. And there's lots of little quality of life things in here. The developer is very attentive to making the game accessible to play, even though it is a complicated game. It's easy to jump into, but hard to master. You kind of got to like memorize what all the ships do and what they're good at. But it's been a fun day. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. Today we were checking out Starsector. Tomorrow we will check out other things. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you for stopping on in. That's all I got for you. But until then, hi do everybody.